So if you take a look at the folder in front of you, you will see many facts that are enlightening about our current situation.
Okay. You're listening to KRUI in Iowa City, 89.7 FM on the radio, krui.fm to stream online. My name is Justin Comer. The show is called iHearIC. We feature local artists from Iowa City and the surrounding area. And I have a guest in the studio today.
Michele Guild.
Welcome back. This is your third time on the show,
time.
Right? Okay.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, this time it'll be good.
Finally.
Okay, so I started with some intro music, and I think it was only playing in the left channel, so sorry about that. I don't know don't know why that's happening. But that was something that my friend Jason Palomara made. It's called Let's All Go to a Boring Meeting. And it's on the new album we released together called Relics. You can listen to that at jc-jp.com. I also set up this weird little interactive website to go along with that album, which you can find at museum.jc-jp.com.
Nice. I'm going to check that out.
All right, cool. Thanks. Yeah, hopefully that left channel only thing does not persist throughout the show today. Might have an issue with the aux cord.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
It's a good time. Started out right.
Yeah. All right, so it's summer now, and we're moving to a new schedule. The show's going to be at 4 p.m. on Sundays now. That's the time it is right now, so we're starting that today.
Cool.
So last week at the end of the show, I said that we were going to have Kent Williams on the show. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. He has some stuff going on. He had to be out of town. But he was nice enough to record a 15-minute set of brand new music for us to play on the show today. And he also recorded an interview with a friend of his that we'll get to later in the show. So I'm just going to jump right in and play a set from Kent Williams. He goes by the name Chaircrusher as an electronic musician. So you can find all of his stuff online under the name Chaircrusher. Here's some brand new stuff from Chaircrusher.
tendre et cruelle.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to go hiking in Patagonia, ride camels in Morocco, eat sushi in Japan, or learn how to surf in Australia? Stop wondering. Take the first step towards immersing yourself in another culture by visiting the Office for Study Abroad. During the resource room walk-in hours from 9 to 5, you can meet with a peer advisor to start exploring the opportunities that are waiting for you. The University of Iowa sponsors over 140 study abroad programs scattered across nearly every continent, ranging from 1 week to 1 year. You can meet general education, major and minor requirements, or earn elective credit towards graduation. You could even combine study abroad with an internship, or work abroad after graduation. For more information, come visit the Office for Study Abroad resource room in the University Capitol Center. That's in the Old Capitol Mall on the first floor next to Beat the Bookstore. Study abroad. 10 years from now, what will you be glad you did?
And welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is iHearIC Radio on KRUI. My name is Justin Comer. I have my friend Michelle in the studio with me today.
Hi.
Before that study abroad public service announcement, you heard a brand new 15-minute set of music by Kent Williams, also known as Chaircrusher. We were planning on having him in the studio today, but it didn't work out, so he recorded some cool stuff for us instead. If you are listening live, my apologies. Only the left channel is working on the auxiliary input right now, so I'm going to edit that before I upload the podcast. So I don't know, I guess that gives you a reason to listen again so you can hear both channels. But yeah, hopefully that gets fixed sometime soon. Otherwise, I might have to start using CDs again, which is kind of stupid. Yeah. All right. So I have some more stuff from Kent ready to play. And part of our plan for the show was going to be that his friend Derek Piotr was going to call in and we'd do sort of a live interview between the two of them. So Derek is a guy living over on the East Coast who collaborates with Kent frequently. And I'm going to play the first collaboration they ever worked on together. And it was a remix that Kent did of Derek's track. And then we're going to listen to a short interview that they recorded together. And then after that, we'll listen to their most recent, I believe, their most recent collaboration. So up first is Derek's track Vend, which was remixed by Kent. And this is off their, I believe this is a joint album called Off Prairie du Chien. All right, we're going to jump in a few minutes early with the weather. It's currently 4:26 p.m. And I'm going to pass it over to our weather girl, Michele.
All right, I've always wanted to be a meteorologist. So it looks like it's 64 degrees currently, partly sunny skies, with a... I was going to say the dew point, but I don't even know what that means.
Well, you might as well give it to us anyway.
Well, the dew point is 55 degrees Fahrenheit. I have no idea what that means.
That's oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
is dew point when the dew evaporates? Like once or
at what
it
temperature
forms at
dew-
55?
Maybe.
Like when it goes down to 55 degrees, then
Why
the
would
dew
anyone
starts
care?
forming. I don't know, man.
understand.
Maybe it's like a farmer thing.
Oh, it could be. This is from the Farmer's Almanac weather report, so that's not true. And northeast winds at 9 miles per hour.
Good.
Still a nice chance of rain tonight, though.
If anyone was in doubt, all of those temperature readings were in Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
We are located in the United States. All right, so we heard Vend, a track by Derek Piotr and remixed by Kent Williams, the chaircrusher, before the weather report. And now we're going to jump into an interview that Kent recorded it with Derek. And this sort of, they go over their collaborations and sort of Derek's influences and how he got started creating electronic music and how they know each other and all that stuff. So here is Kent Williams interviewing Derek Piotr.
Okay, how long have you been doing sound art?
Well, when you met me 10 years ago, I would say it started as sound art and has sort of morphed or moved into some more song-based stuff, some more composition-based stuff. Still, I guess, basically sound art. I think I started in 2006, and then you and I linked up through the IDM mailing list in 2008, but I didn't really formally release anything that I was proud of until 2011. So I count my career as being 8 years long, but I've actually been messing around with sound for about 12 years.
What made you want to do that to begin with? Like, what urge were you satisfying, or what was your inspiration to start?
Well, I felt like I came to music super late. I felt like a lot of bands that I built out in high school had kids that had been in bands, I had friends in bands for, a couple of years, and I was starting to get into making music, and I always felt super bad about being a late bloomer at like 16 or whatever, but maybe that's not the case, but I do remember really being influenced by musicals when I was 5 or 6 and movies when I was younger. My parents did have a couple of pop records that I would listen to, and I was also in choir when I was like 10, 11, 12, so maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit, and that my involvement with music spans longer than I think it does, but I think as far as trying to make my own stuff, I've been listening to really weird remixes that Madonna was putting out in about 2003, and then around 2004 I got Medulla by Mark. And both of those experiences were it sounded really software driven, it sounded very edit heavy, and I really wanted to try and cut out my own sounds, and in about 2006 a friend of mine was like, well, why don't you just get Audacity? And I didn't even know what that was, so I downloaded Audacity and I went. But it was really about listening to pop music, listening to remixes, and kind of wanting to both control what I was listening, like if I wanted an intro to be twice as long or remove it entirely, like that was an option, but also to try and give back to the listener some of the experiences I think I was having listening to the music in the first place. In other words, I was having an experience listening to these records, and I felt like that spark of curiosity or excitement or whatever resonated with me, and I wanted to try and construct something and shoot that spark of back at someone.
When I relate like Bjork or Madonna to what I've heard you do, you came more of a musique concrète direction at it, where you were interested in your voice, but everything was edited and stuttered and almost amusical. Whatever you heard, you transmuted it into something a lot stranger and less ordinary.
Yeah, and it's funny because as I get older, I feel like the music I make becomes stranger, but what I'm listening to becomes more middle of the road. So, for instance, this week, I re-downloaded Cher's I Found Someone, and I re-downloaded Fleetwood Mac's Everywhere, and so I was like listening to those in the car, and I listened to a lot of acoustic music, a lot of Joni Mitchell, and a lot of even Faith Hill. I was listening to some recent Faith Hill, but my music, my taste is becoming kind of more and more normal. So like what's going in is becoming calmer and calmer, but what's coming out is becoming noisier and noisier. I don't know why, but that's, yeah, I mean, I think there's a very human element to the work I make, and there's a very vocal element to the work I make. So in that way, the impression is closer to pop than to something that maybe Outtake would make, or something that maybe Shotgun would make, which doesn't have shoulders to lean on. You know, it's music that's maybe a little less humane or human. So I think that's maybe the only mirror I can see in my work as far as the work that I listen, the music I listen to and the work I make. That's kind of the only correlation.
Just that the correlation is the idea of the human voice, but you're going somewhere different with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not my place to talk about, what others see in my work in regards to, how it appears. I mean, I've been, compared to everyone from Nine Inch Nails to Tune Yard, and so I think people bring to my work their own associations, but I think people also have different listening habits than I do. So, for instance, when I was doing pop record last year, someone said T-Pain, and I'd never really listened to T-Pain, and then I found one amazing T-Pain song that I love called Time Machine from like 2003. So, and then it made total sense to me that it sounded like I had been influenced by this T-Pain record, but I'd never heard it before. I actually think the closest artist, aside from maybe AGF, that I think, like, if I was to say I had a musical twin, it would be Dave Longstreth of Dirty Projectors, because I think he also warps recordings in a similar way and uses voice in a similar way and has references to pop and glitch in a similar way, but obviously his songs are more structured. But I think our approach and our process is very, very similar.
You do shorter tracks mostly, like get the idea and flesh it out and get out. Would you say that's because that's what's interesting to you more than like long-term repetition, or?
I like both. I've done a few, really short tracks, 2-3 minutes, but then I also, on one of my records, I always seem to do one longer repetitive track, like per record. Like I did in 2014, I did a 6-minute long kind of gamelan and field recording track, and then in 2015 I did a 7-minute or 8-minute flute and drum track, and then in 2016 I did a whole bunch of long drone tracks, and then actually with this pop record I did another like 7.5-minute flute and drum track. So mostly I make shorter things, and then every once in a while I really like repetition and really like long stuff, but it's super uneven. I feel like I always have one 8-minute long stir, and then the rest are like 3 minutes long or something. But I'm really tempted to play your Earth Minute remix, because I think that's a really, really good example of repetition that's like super engaging the whole time, and it's like my favorite remix. Actually, I think Tiny Escapes is going to write it up and feature it next week. Really, really happy with that remix. Love it. The little blip that I had to like unbury or fix or whatever, I just went with version 1, is super great. And the arpeggios, like I sent you that boosting track, are really, I don't know, that's, I wish I could make music that's more like that, where the elements kind of don't change in as much as they don't sound different from the beginning of the track to the end, but they shift just enough within the repetition that it's interesting and engaging. It's a hard line to walk, and I think, I would like to make more repetitive stuff. It doesn't always seem to happen.
Making repetitive stuff isn't easy, and if you're a musician and you're actually making it, it's hard to find things that you don't become bored with quickly.
Yeah, it is. then my favorite tracks that I've made are like my longest and most repetitive. So I probably should just be really brave and keep pushing myself in that direction, because I feel like after it's done and I've like approved it and I've made the struggle and I've done the thing and it's repetitive, all right, but I like it, all right, you know, after a while, those become some of my favorite tracks that I've ever written. But I don't approach beat quantizing and looping from that perspective at all. And you were giving me advice like a month ago about the downbeats and like where a hat should fall and all these things. And it's like, that's just syncopation, things I don't even think about when I'm looping. You know, I think I approach electronic music from actually a very non-electronic music perspective.
Sometimes it is music, and you're making music as you've developed. Your style has paid a lot more attention to conventional musicality, but it's always been obvious to me that you work from kind of your own intuition of how you want things to sound that doesn't always have a root in conventional music. Like you didn't learn how to play Jimmy Crack Corn on a guitar when you were 7.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because a lot of my friends that have grown up with pianos and guitars definitely have like a bass line sensibility or a syncopation sensibility or a chord sensibility. And although like I listen to a lot of orchestral music and a lot of, you know, pop music, I'm approaching it more from like an architectural thing, like this shape is really pretty, or like this Faith Hill reverb that they've got buried in the chorus, you know, in the left channel is really pretty, or the way they've kind of made the hi-hat into dust is really pretty. And I'm still venerating it from some pantheon of beautiful music, but it's more an architectural cerebral thing. It gives me a visual impulse. That's more telling to me than like, oh, they used parallel fifths and used bass line. You know, like I don't necessarily think like that when I'm responding to music.
And when you're creating your own music, what are your concerns? Like one thing that I've noticed is that when we've worked on stuff that you'll give me something that sounds really arbitrary, and then I'll make a mistake in timing that where something's a little bit off, and you'll immediately notice it.
Yeah, I think elements are really important, and shape is really important to me, which is weird because I don't really like people that approach music from a visual like school. Like I don't like people, maybe even like Alvin Noto, who now just seems like his music is so driven by like the AV concert aspect, and that's, you know, Ryoji Ikeda, who has the projections, and that's sort of where the music fits in. Like I really don't agree with that approach. Like for me, music is music, but one of the things I'm really driven by is this idea of like the record in big caps, you know, like the album, the studio document. And, you know, Bjork is one of my references for this because she'll do single mixes, which are brighter and pumpier and different, and then she'll do the album version, and the album version is usually more subdued and the bass is cleaner. He kind of did this with Biophilia, where the album version was its own island, and then kind of the single mixes were the single mixes. And I'm really into attention to detail and reverb tails being, you know, appropriate, and panning being just right. And so if I'm ever screaming at you for what seems like a jumble of clicks and arrhythmic vocals, it's because I've taken an improvisation probably and edited it into a form that I'm considering to be a studio document. And so I heard the quantization so many times and the pans and the reverb so many times that it's become a landscape that I'm always walking on. And if you move a rock, I'm going to say, hey, that rock was 3 feet over there, the other day. Well, what's going on? So it's about like there's the right way to use reverb, and there's the wrong way to use reverb, and certain ways that you would handle bass. I don't know, it's just kind of like having good taste about making studio documents. I really like to do tapes and stuff that are improvisation and live stuff, but as far as my own studio albums are concerned, there's a big amount of care with regards to the final result. So it might sound very abstract to you on first listen, but I've probably heard the thing, 200 times, so I know it very well.
Okay, and that was an interview conducted by Kent Williams, talking to his friend Derek Piotr. I prefaced that with a recording of, I think, their first collaboration together, which was a track that Derek made called Vend, that Kent remixed, and now I'm going to follow that up with one of their more recent collaborations, which Derek actually mentioned in the interview, This is from his Earth Edit EP, and this is the Chaircrusher remix of Earth Edit. And this is just a brief excerpt, so if you want to hear the full thing, you can check out... you should check out both of their websites. Cornwarning.com is Kent's website, and derekpiotr.com is Derek's website. That's DerekPiotr.com. And you can find this and all the other music they make.
Support for KRUI is provided by Little Village. Little Village is Iowa City's independent, community-supported news and culture publication. Little Village's event calendar connects readers with critical cultural opportunities. Through journalism, essays, and events, Little Village works to improve our community according to core values: affordability and access, economic and labor justice, environmental sustainability, racial justice, gender equity, quality healthcare, quality education, and critical culture. Little Village can be found in print editions at local businesses in Iowa City, as well as online at littlevillagemag.com.
And we're back. If you're just tuning in, this is iHearIC Radio. We spent most of today's show focused on the music of Kent Williams, also known as Chaircrusher, as well as his frequent collaborator, Derek Piotr. And for the last few minutes of our show, Michele and I are going to discuss an upcoming project that we've been working on. How would you describe this project, Michele?
That's a really tough question, but I'm very excited about it.
What's your vision of this project, I guess, is a good question.
So the way I see it is it's going to be a podcast of multiple various topics.
Okay.
And various lengths of episodes depending on the situation.
Right, so it's a little bit free form.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of length.
Mm-hmm. But I think what started this was we were talking about going to Adventureland,
mm-hmm.
and recording an episode for this podcast while going on roller coasters.
Right.
So essentially, it would be almost completely unlistenable.
Right. The idea being that we're having a conversation on a roller coaster, recording it. The sound quality is going to be mostly completely destroyed by a roller coaster.
By
the mechanical sounds.
Failing mechanics of Adventureland's roller coasters.
Yeah. And everyone else riding the roller coaster is probably going to be yelling.
Oh, yeah.
Like a normal person on a roller coaster.
And we're going to be holding a casual conversation.
And we're discussing something through this noise.
Exactly.
Trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the idea, is that we discuss things in environments that are not amenable to discussions.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's where it begins. Mm-hmm. So what we need to brainstorm really is other situations where we can record another episode.
Right. So I'm thinking there are two components to this. Where are we recording? What situation are we in? And what are we discussing? So like environment and content.
Exactly.
Right. First of all, I do want to say, I want to ask you, do you have any ideas for a name for this project?
Well, the first one, since we were talking about roller coasters, was Podcoast.
Podcoast, right.
Or Coastercast.
For the listeners at home, I have a piece of paper in front of me. I'm writing things down. This is the visual component that you're missing currently. I'm writing down Podcoast. Did you have any other ideas for a name?
I didn't.
Okay,
I know you did.
Yeah, right. My other idea was impedecast, because our podcast is being impeded.
Right. No, I like that because it doesn't just focus on the roller coaster aspect. It can be
right.
just,
We want it to be a bigger
exactly.
idea than that. Right.
Because we can only go on so many roller coasters in our old age. Our bones will break.
I think I'm pretty strong. I think I can handle it.
We'll find out.
But there aren't very many roller coasters in Iowa anymore. Anymore. There used to be a ton. Yeah.
I think Impedecast has my vote, honestly.
You like that? Yeah.
I think that's better.
If we can't think of anything better, we should probably go with that.
Yeah.
Another question I have is like a schedule. How often do you think we're going to be releasing stuff?
That's tough.
I assume it's just going to be like whenever.
Right.
It's not going to be a regular weekly show or anything.
Quality is in question, just in general.
I'm going to write down
all of this.
I'm going to write down inconsistent release schedule.
Right. Then it's like a surprise every time there's a new one.
Yeah.
Even for us, it's going to be
a
surprise.
We can not even announce them.
Right.
Okay, so our first idea for an environment to record in is Adventureland. Mm-hmm. And do you have any other environments off the top of your head that we should think about?
Airport.
That's cool.
On the runway.
Okay. We may have trouble making that happen. I don't know. Or we could just buy tickets.
I live next door to the Iowa City airport. It's pretty loud.
That's true. Does that make a lot of noise?
Helicopters take off and land all the time. And
yeah, we could do that.
So that could work.
Yeah. Airport. I had an idea of recording next to a running train.
Right. It'd be a very short episode.
Yeah, the Hawkeye Express in
yeah.
Coralville. All right, so train is another idea. Anything else from you?
Delivery room at the hospital.
Okay, good. Hospital delivery room.
And labors can last hours. So
yeah, so that could be like a really long one.
It could be a season finale.
Yeah, might have to split that into multiple parts.
Right.
What was the other one I said? That whistle that happens downtown.
Oh, yeah.
You've never heard that?
Okay.
So if you've never been in downtown Iowa City during the week at I think it's at noon and 5.
Okay.
There's a whistle at a factory. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's a whistle that goes off and it's like, okay, it's lunchtime. Okay, it's time to clock out. So they have a whistle.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like that
and
whistle.
it lasts, I believe, 10 to 20 seconds. So
very short episode.
Yeah, so that would be a short one. We could even record multiple times doing that because I assume it's going to be hard to catch it.
Right.
Okay, any other environments?
Oh, we have train. I'm thinking of other transportation that's pretty loud. I can't.
Are there any really active bus stations nearby that we could go to?
Well, see, that's what I was thinking, but I have no idea.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
not
know
a bus
either.
person.
We could research that.
Right.
Okay. Let's try to brainstorm some content that we could discuss.
Okay. conspiracy theories.
Okay, yeah, we're both interested in those.
Yeah.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go with flat Earth because that's the one I've been thinking about the most.
I was gonna
recently.
say that, but
You're embarrassed that you love
No.
the flat Earth, that you believe in
no, I'm
the
not.
flat
I'm
Earth.
not embarrassed, but I'm like really into it.
You're embarrassed at how into it you are.
Maybe.
yeah. There's a lot of flat Earth theory out there that one
And
could
it's all
discover.
so fun and so good.
Yeah,
These
it's
flat earthers, they like do their research. They don't just throw ideas out. They like try to prove it.
Yeah, most
before they
people that
find
are-
it, which is so good, and they do such a good job that sometimes I'm like,
most people
I
that
wonder.
are into flat Earth, like seriously, like really think of it as a reality or an option, something that could be true, are like very serious and into it.
Right.
Like it's a lot of it is based on like biblical stuff.
right.
And they know
it's
all of
super
it.
based on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the flat Earth theory is worthwhile because of like the skeptic component to it, where it's like they don't believe the Earth is round just because that's what people say.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ignorance involved,
really-
but it's
really
also
innocent.
like, yeah, there's a lot of ignorance, but it's also like the idea that you should question prevailing science is sort of worthwhile.
right.
And I don't think that the shape of the Earth is really that important to how
No.
people live their lives. So it's not like dangerous, like questioning whether vaccines should be administered to people at all. That can be
But-
more dangerous, you know?
To the flat earthers, they think it's all a conspiracy because the government is trying to steal from us, essentially. Like NASA's taking
The
all this
motivation
money.
behind the round
yeah,
Earth.
It's all money
Yeah.
motivated to make us all think that the Earth is round,
Right.
which makes no sense, but I love it.
Well,
I
yeah, I guess it
love
doesn't really.
I love it.
Okay, we've talked about that for a long time.
Yeah.
Let's go on to number 2 for content ideas. Obviously, we can get some mileage out of conspiracy theories. Another thing that we've been involved in recently is bad movies. Not involved
yeah.
in,
Yeah.
watching them. We've both seen a lot of bad movies, and I think actually there's surprisingly not a lot of overlap between the movies we've seen so
Right,
far in what
yeah.
we've talked about. So there's a lot of, like, we could tell each other about them. I don't know.
Like explain the plots
Yeah.
of bad movies.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing is, like, there's so many bad movie podcasts already.
Right.
That, like, what can we do that hasn't been done already?
That's a good point.
Yeah. I don't know if you've listened to movie podcasts at all, but
I haven't.
there are a ton.
But I know there's a lot.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun to discuss.
Yeah, so the past 2 weeks we watched together Birdemic and Basket Case, which was
Which traumatized
fun.
me
Yeah.
immensely.
You did not sleep
I didn't sleep
after that? Yeah.
I still haven't.
Oh, wow.
That was,
okay.
that was what?
That was
4
Wednesday.
days ago?
Yeah. Yeah, we went to the Late Shift at the Grindhouse, which is a series that Film Scene does every Wednesday night at 10s. At 10s?
At all the 10s.
10 p.m.
10s
only.
on the Wednesdays.
Yeah. This week they're showing Foxy Brown. So if anyone's interested in that movie, which is
I'm not.
You're not?
It didn't look that good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or
I'm not
that, or
as
that good bad.
I'm not as interested as I was in Basket Case.
Yeah.
But
I
it's,
really wanted to know what was in that basket.
Yeah.
And I'm not glad that I know now.
Spoiler alert. A gross
Don't spoil
a
it.
gross rubber monster. I'm not spoiling anything really.
He's not a monster.
Well.
He's a man.
All right, now you're the spoiler over there.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What else can we discuss on this show?
What would be a good topic for like the really short, like the whistle episode?
That could be
Like an anecdote.
yeah. I'm trying to avoid like stuff that you talk about a lot on your show. Do you want to plug your show that you do
yeah.
every week?
Yeah, so I have a podcast. It's called We Are Rhonda. Just check us out. It's pretty fun. You can go to wearerhonda.com. It's a comedy advice show. So we answer your questions and have a bunch of little segments that we do and have fun and stuff. So we're on Facebook too. So find us on Facebook and we post a lot of links to our stuff. We Are Rhonda Podcast is our Facebook.
Sometimes you can hear recordings of my voice on there too.
Yep, Justin calls in, and sometimes we play his recordings and answer his questions. Yeah. Which is fun.
Okay, so something we can discuss in like a 20-second window. Oof, that's a tough
hard
question.
Without saying like, oh, we could just like tell a quick joke, because that's all we have time for.
Yeah, right.
How do you get a point across in 20 seconds?
Right. Maybe that would have to be. Maybe that would have to be like a few episodes in, and it can just be like a callback to something we said before.
Oh, right. Like we have new information on this that we want to discuss.
Yeah.
Really, really quick. Quick. So quick.
So I'm gonna just listeners, I'm drawing an arrow from factory whistle to the word follow-up.
Yeah.
Which hopefully I remember what that means later when I look at this paper.
It's a nice
Doesn't really
chart.
make any sense, but
no, not really.
I'll work on it. Okay. More ideas for content. Like I was saying, I want to avoid stuff that comes up a lot on your show. So like your dating website stories, I think we should avoid,
right?
Because that's We Are Rhonda content.
Yeah.
What else happens in our lives? Like,
gosh, nothing. Nothing has happened to me.
You have a cat.
Months.
You have a cat. I have 2 cats. We can talk about them.
About cat life.
Yeah.
Oh, I have so much to say about cats.
Well, there you go. Okay,
yeah,
we can
that's perfect.
we can get a lot out of that too. I've got 6 environments written down. I've got 4 ideas for content written down. So we should try to come up with 2 more ideas for content while we're here.
Okay. We could review restaurants.
Okay, restaurant reviews. That's possible. Another idea that I had how do you spell restaurant?
Oh my God.
I forget like every time, and I have to Google it.
Restaurant.
I'm just gonna do rest.
Isn't it A-U-R?
Yeah, the A-U comes first.
Yes.
Restaurant. Yeah, but I just wrote rest reviews on here, so it could be restaurants. It could be restrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way. Another one I was thinking about. We've both worked like crappy jobs in the past,
right?
And currently. Don't listen to this.
We love our jobs.
Yeah, so I assume we all have like stories from those old jobs that we can talk about. Yeah, so good. Old job stories. That's idea number 6. Have you ever worked in food service?
I briefly worked at Pizza Ranch.
Okay, so we both have pizza.
Oh,
history.
nice.
Okay, yeah, I worked at Marco's Pizza in Cedar Rapids. That was like my first real job.
Oh, cool.
So I have a lot of terrible memories.
Yeah, I got fired from Pizza Ranch.
Oh, yeah?
Kind of. They made me choose.
We should save it for this thing, but just say it. I want to know.
Yeah, well, I had a job at Hy-Vee, and I also then got a job at Pizza Ranch because one opened in town, and so I kept calling in sick to Pizza Ranch because I was already scheduled at Hy-Vee, and so Tanya, the lady who was my boss, said I needed to choose between her or them.
Wow, yeah.
And I was like, I choose them.
Yeah, the one I already had,
awesome, yeah.
And I assume was paying you better.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So it's 4:59 now, so I think we've reached our limits.
But
that was a good brainstorming session. I hope the listeners got something out of this. Two geniuses at work. This is what happens behind the curtain, before the content that you hear later. This is what happens. People got to figure out what they're doing first. Mm-hmm. All right, so I got to say some stuff to end the show.
All right.
Do you have anything else to plug besides We Are Rhonda?
Just check it out.
All right,
check out We Are Rhonda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, so I will plug. iHearIC has a website. It's iHearIC.com. IHEARIC.com.
Nailed it.
We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. That's just our social media stuff and videos. This radio show that is airing right now, I record every episode, and then I edit them, and I upload them online. And you can listen to those as a podcast, which is available on iTunes, Google Play, Mixcloud, and starting today, SoundCloud also.
Whoa.
A website I don't like, but I'm using again. And if you subscribe to those, you can see a bunch of links in the descriptions to all the artists that we feature on the show. And speaking of artists, if you have music that you would like us to hear, or you have a show coming up in Iowa City or nearby that you think we should know about, you can reach us at iHearIC@gmail.com. We're taking a break from our live concerts for the summer, so don't email us about that unless you're willing to wait a few months. But if you have anything else, you just want to talk and say hi, email us or message us on those things I mentioned earlier. All right, so to close out the show, I'm going to play another track from the new JCJP album, which is called Relics. I opened the show with Let's All Go to a Boring Meeting, and I might use that as intro music going forward because I like it a lot.
It worked.
Yeah. And I'm going to close the show with a track called Black Cherry, which I wrote for a dance piece that my wife Ashley made a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, so here's Black Cherry, and after that, you'll hear no more of us. So goodbye.
Bye.
KRUI.
I'm fresh.
KRUI, Iowa City.
I gotta be fresh.